chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. The Psychetruth live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Oh, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you for your applause. God, y'all are so sweet. Thank you. Aurora, good to see you. Glad you could make it today. Glad all of you could make it here today for my live chat. I just want to let this cord ring out for the entire live chat. Makes me sad when it finally dissipates. One more time. All right. So hello and welcome. I am Corrina Rachel. I'm a certified holistic health coach. I've made hundreds and hundreds of videos on this channel, Psychetruth, on topics ranging from weight loss, nutrition, handling our stress levels, where to start for beginners. I mean, I have covered a lot of ground over the years, and so this live chat is your opportunity to ask your questions. So really general questions like, how do I lose weight? I will generally still answer them, but I do kind of feel like, you know, this works a little bit better if things are a little bit more specific, rather than just really general questions like, how do I lose weight? Because there's a million ways to lose weight. So anyhow, those of you in the chat room, you can go ahead and start leaving your questions. If you put some question marks at the beginning, as Aurora Whispers has just demonstrated, the question marks at the beginning will just make it easier for me to see the questions amidst all of the little chit chat and chatter. I love that you guys, you know, are conversating with each other as well. But anyway, sometimes it can be hard to find your questions. So give me a bunch of question marks. I will also remind you that this is a super chat, so you can leave a tip with your question. And when you leave a tip, YouTube will actually bump your question up to the top and it gives me a little notification. So the best way to guarantee that you get an answer to your question and to make sure your question is the next question that I answer, you can leave a tip. You could leave me like 1 penny and that would still technically count. But guys, your generosity is so greatly appreciated. Things on YouTube are not super pleasant towards creators right now, so we really appreciate your tips. We really appreciate your support. All right, so I'm scrolling back up here. Let me find that question that just passed me by. I'm glad that you guys like the intro song. Okay, here we go. Aurora Whispers, I have a quick question. What would you recommend for a healthy filling lunch that isn't a sandwich or a salad? I've been having quick, easy ramen for the last couple weeks, which ain't good. I don't know what you call that little emoji that she just gave me, but it's kind of doing this. And I know that feeling. Okay, so this is such a good question. You know, the thing about lunchtime, I mean, number one, it's a struggle because we're not at home. Typically, when we're eating lunch, we're either running out from the office to go grab something, or hopefully we brought something from home, right? So I totally understand, you know, and probably lunch is probably the unhealthiest meal for me, you know, because when I'm at home, I eat a healthy dinner, can make my own food, you have more time. Okay, so ideas for lunch. One of my favorite things to do, and I know this sounds really maybe like too simple, is just stir-fried vegetables and brown rice. And if you like the kind of like Asian style flavors, you can add things like soy sauce. Sesame oil is very, very strong, but it's a very, like a little bit goes a long way. But if you like that flavor, a little bit of sesame oil with your veggies and soy sauce, or the liquid aminos by Bragg's are awesome. It's kind of like a soy sauce alternative, but it's filled with amino acids. It's called liquid aminos, and it comes in a spray, which is why I made this little this little motion. But something like brown rice and either steamed veggies or stir-fried veggies, it's going to be a little bit healthier if you just steam them in water. Most offices, at least that I've worked in, have had a toaster oven, which is awesome because when we microwave our foods, unfortunately, the radiation from a microwave kind of degrades the nutrients. So, I mean, microwaving your healthy meal is better than eating a burger, okay? But anytime that you can use a toaster oven instead of a microwave, really, really good idea. Or cook something on a stovetop, would be ideal. But of course, if you're in an office, you probably don't have an actual, stovetop available. But what I've done before is bring a little glass Tupperware with a lid and then chop up my veggies either in the morning or the night before, put them in there, and then put a little bit of water in the bottom and then put that glass container with the lid in the toaster oven. Really easy way to steam vegetables while you're at work. So we could talk about green beans, broccoli, carrots, even potatoes. Potatoes actually have a lot of minerals in them, primarily in the skin. But if you like eating potatoes, really potatoes kind of get a bad rap. They do have a lot of starch in them. So it's really easy to gain weight if you're eating too many potatoes. And certainly if you're eating them in the form of French fries, okay, then you don't get any of the health benefits from them. But if you like potatoes, even a potato or sweet potato with some delicious, amazing grass-fed butter on it can be a really healthy lunch. So on that note, a baked potato, could be a healthy lunch. And then I just kind of would encourage you to eat as many vegetables as you can. So I've put steamed broccoli on top of my baked potatoes before. You can also just, have the baked potato as a side and then eat it, maybe with a salad or, something else. Okay, so baked potatoes, brown rice, and steamed vegetables, or quinoa for that matter, is another really good grain alternative. Good way to get carbs. It also gives you protein. So quinoa, brown rice, those are kind of some go-to things that I'll have. If I've made like a crock pot the night before, sometimes I'll make a crock pot of soup with maybe like beans and a bunch of different vegetables in it, and then I'll have a jar of soup I can take with me to work the next day and either heat that up in the toaster oven or microwave if you really don't have any other option. But avoiding a microwave as much as possible is kind of another, I think, good thing to do. Especially if it's something that you do all the time. If you're like always microwaving your food, just try to start, finding an alternative to a microwave whenever possible. Again, it's much easier when we're at home and we have a stovetop. So Aurora, I hope that gave you, some ideas. I'm a very simple person when it comes to meals. I'm just thinking like, okay, I want to eat some salad. I want to eat some steamed vegetables and either, brown rice or quinoa or, avocados or something that I have really, really often as well. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. I might do a whole video on healthy lunch ideas, which kind of sounds kind of cool. Just give as many ideas as I can on things that are convenient, that are fast, that are easy to prepare if you don't have, a stove. I do not know what happened to our Android app. I actually, we have an employee who handles all of our apps and uploading our videos on a bazillion different platforms. She also makes our icons and stuff. So I will have to ask her. Her name is Kate. To ask Kate what happened to our Android app. I do know that, since we've rolled out wellnessplus.tv, you're able to download wellnessplus.tv on any device. So maybe they, scrapped the regular Psychetruth Android app, because now we just really encourage people to sign up for wellnessplus.tv. We've got way more videos over there. Dozens of videos getting added each week, which is awesome. Mega Gupta, headache and eye pain after a workout. Pain in one eye. I have no idea. That sounds honestly like maybe something that you should see a doctor about. Just because, if it's something that's going on in your eye, then you'd want to get that checked out. But because it's a pain in one eye and a headache that continually happens after you work out, it seems like it could be like a nervous system kind of a thing. It could simply be, part of your stress response. So recognize that when we are relaxed, okay, when we're just in our regular lives and things are happening, we're in a certain part of the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. This is where our immune system works really well. Our bodies can metabolize fat. It's just like the overall repair state of the body. Once our brain, for that matter, registers a signal of stress, we get moved into the sympathetic nervous system, what they call the fight or flight. So when we work out, this is what they sometimes call triggering our sympathetics, or moving us into the sympathetic nervous system, because the body registers that as stress. And so even though your brain doesn't realize that, like, you're doing this on purpose, this is not a bear or a tiger, right? It's not something that you actually need to fight or flight from. An intense workout can still put your body into that part of the nervous system. And when that happens, when we get into that stressed out frame of mind, this is why stress is so bad for us. Our immune system shuts down. Our digestion shuts down. Our body's ability to burn fat shuts down, which is why, inability to lose weight is so closely tied with stress. Because when you're in that stressful state, it's a totally different part of your nervous system getting activated. So anyways, my recommendation would be to experiment with reducing the intensity of your workout. If you are doing really intense exercises, all right, either lifting heavy weights or trying to do like a long duration of running or something, if you can just kind of pull it back a little bit so that your body doesn't shift into the sympathetic nervous system, for lack of a better term, just try to reduce the intensity of the workout and see if that helps. If you start to find that, there's a certain level of intensity where it triggers these symptoms, that would be a really, I would consider that kind of a signal that that's some kind of stress-related thing. It's related to the anxious or sympathetic part of your nervous system becoming activated. So try pulling back the intensity of your workouts. You can either reduce intensity but extend the duration, like work out longer. But bottom line is that, the whole reason you're working out, presumably, is to lose weight and build muscle. But if your body is misinterpreting your workouts or is unable to handle the stress of your workouts, then that stressful workout isn't actually doing you any favors. Because the primary time that your body burns fat and builds muscle is when it's in the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, the relaxed part of the nervous system. So you know, maybe you have that feeling that you're like, well, I don't want to decrease intensity because I'm going to stop losing weight, right? But just know that if your workouts are too intense, and this is a good general statement for everyone out there, I see this all the time in my health coaching. If your workouts are too intense, or you're getting up early so you can work out and you're only getting a couple hours of sleep every night, just understand that that stress that you're causing is outweighing the benefits that you're getting from the workout. So you got to find that sweet spot. And especially if you're having these kind of specific acute symptoms, like pain in your eye and a headache that constantly recurs after your workouts, then you need to bring down the intensity. Other things you could try are increasing your magnesium, your potassium, and just overall hydration, drinking more water, and see if that doesn't help. Yes, this is my voice when I'm speaking normally. The ASMR videos, I don't ever talk like that, probably, other than when I'm like whispering to my puppy or something like that. Okay, so I am looking for more questions. So Celeste Rios, this is just a question kind of about me and Psychetruth. I am going to answer it quickly, even though it's not a health question, just because nobody's ever asked this before. Celeste Rios, when did you know that making videos would be your job, or when you knew that you liked to be a YouTuber? Okay, so how did I get into this? So about 7 years ago, I met Mike. He's the one who was the founder of this channel. He started this channel as a hobby. Back when YouTube was just starting, he started the channel as a hobby. And by the time that I met him, he was working full-time running the channel. And basically, the guy that he had been working for previously really liked what he was doing with the YouTube channel and thought it was really valuable. And so he kind of let him shift into doing the YouTube channel as his job. When I met Mike, Psychetruth had about 250,000 subscribers, and he offered me to come and start presenting and making nutrition videos. I came in probably 3 or 4 times, just, you know, for 2 or 3 hours and record some videos, and then he offered me a job as his assistant. At that point, he started training me on video editing, how to run the cameras, how to film videos, how to produce a video. I started finding other presenters. And so he actually just offered me a job. So I didn't get into this the same way that I think a lot of YouTubers do, where they just kind of start making videos and then at some point, you know, they quit their day job or something. So I was actually, you know, offered a job working for him. He already had a pretty established channel at that point. 250,000 is not that much, but 7 years ago, when YouTube was still kind of new, that was a pretty big channel. So I didn't ever have to make a decision to quit my day job and become a full-time YouTuber. It was just kind of something that I was very, very fortunate to come into. Prior to meeting Mike, I never in a million years had, you know, thought I would make videos. Ever. It had never even crossed my mind. You know, before there was a YouTube, you know, I don't think it had crossed anybody's mind. But I remember when I met him and I started looking at the channel, I didn't even know that YouTube existed at that point. You know, maybe I had seen a couple things on it, but anyways, so that's kind of my story, so to speak. And then our channel has just grown and grown. We just broke 2 million subscribers, which is so amazing. It's kind of inconceivable, honestly. Okay, so slightly unrelated question. Let me go back and see if I can find some more health-related questions. Uncle Quacker. Yo. Which I don't think anybody has ever addressed me as in this live chat. Yo, why is frying food such a health nightmare? Why are fried foods so bad for us? Man, oh man, this is such a good question. I've actually been kind of hatching a video idea in my head that I wanted to do to address this. So a very appropriate question. Okay, fried foods, why? Why are they so bad? Why are we told that we shouldn't eat donuts and french fries and fried chicken? Those little cream cheese tempura fried things at the Chinese food restaurant. Man, those things are so good, but they're so bad for you. Why? Okay, let's talk about it. First of all, heat degrades nutrients. So when we talk about whatever the food is that's getting fried, your chicken, your shredded potatoes, or whatever, right? When you heat a food up to a really high temperature, you're gonna start degrading nutrients. So just as a general rule of thumb, raw foods have more nutrients. Now there are certain foods that are not intended to be eaten raw. They really are, should be cooked, like a potato, right? I'm not telling you to eat a raw potato, but you can just kind of remember that guideline, so to speak, which is that the more you heat your food and the higher you heat your food, the less nutrients that will remain in the food. So lightly steaming your vegetables is the healthiest way to prepare them. So that's the first thing, is that just putting a food in a deep fryer and putting in that much temperature, you're going to pretty much lose whatever nutrients were in the food getting fried. Secondly, heating oils not only changes the actual molecular composition of the oil itself, removing the health benefits, but when you heat oils to high temperatures, they can also create really harmful chemicals that weren't there before. So when we think about olive oil, right, we think about the health benefits of olive oil, right? Well, what you have to understand is that when you heat that oil, you lose the health benefits. If you want the health benefits of something like olive oil or coconut oil, you have to eat it uncooked or raw. So in the form of salad dressing or adding coconut oil to your smoothies. Just know that, when you heat up an oil, that in and of itself is unhealthy. And the higher you heat it, the higher the heat you expose it to, the worse it is. If you do need to use an oil to cook something, though, use coconut oil. Coconut oil is the highest resilience, you could say, or the highest resistance to heat. So where olive oil starts to denature at very low temperatures, coconut oil can retain its structure up to higher temperatures. Now, if you're deep frying in coconut oil, you're probably going to lose the health benefits there, but coconut oil is the healthiest oil to cook in. All right, so really high heated oils, like deep fry-related oils, typically when restaurants or whomever are frying foods, all right, and they need this huge, gigantic vat of oil. I mean, let's just think about it for a second. How many gallons and gallons upon gallons of oil does a place like McDonald's or Wendy's go through, right? So these companies that are, the oil that they put in their fry-a-later is like the cheapest, lowest of the low quality oil in the first place. Okay, because they need massive amounts of it. Massive amounts of it. So, if you think for a second, think about an olive, right? If you left an olive sitting out on a table for, weeks or months, right, it would mold. It would disintegrate. It's a food, right? So what they do to oils to keep them from going bad, because remember, all of your oils come from some kind of plant, right? So to keep the oils from going bad, they'll either treat them with certain chemicals or certain processing. Bottom line is that while some oils do have health benefits, the oil they use to fry foods, not only does it lose the health benefits when it gets heated anyways, but the oil that they use is cheap and totally lacks any nutritional qualities in and of itself. And then you kind of add insult to injury by taking this cheap, sometimes rancid oil and heating it to a ridiculously high temperature. Lastly, as if those weren't enough reasons, when you heat meats, when you heat meats to high temperatures, again, there are not only nutrients being degraded, but there's also new chemicals that can form from this, chemical process that's going on, this high heating of animal meats. Acrylamide is one of the most well-studied ones, although there are, I believe, many others that also are produced. But anyhow, so acrylamide that is produced when you heat animal foods or animal oils or any kind of meat up to a really high temperature, it's totally toxic. It's totally toxic. So reasons to avoid fried foods. They're empty calories. Okay, what that means is that, the whole reason we eat is to get nutrients. To get nutrients and to get energy. So something that's empty calories gives you no nutrients, and maybe it gives you some energy. It's going to give you some calories, some carbohydrates, but it's not like the good kind of energy that your body can use. It's like quick energy that just turns into fat because your body can't use it fast enough. So fried foods are empty calories. They give you nothing. They're filled with toxins, either from the presence of the oil being heated or the presence of the meat being heated. Any of the nutrients that could have been present in the food, completely killed by the process of frying. So I know that fried foods taste good. I like fried foods just as much as the next person, but I really do my best to avoid them. And I just think about that list, and that's just maybe scratching the surface of all of the bad things about fried foods. Man, I could just keep going on, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question. If y'all want me to keep griping about fried foods, let me know. So I have a tip here. It's from Matt Ben. Matt Ben, you're a freaking champion. Thank you for keeping our cameras rolling here in Psychetruth. Sorry, I'm such a dork. I don't know what's going on. It's not me. No, it is me. Who else could it be? Okay, Matt Ben, thank you for your tip. Thank you for your generosity. I cannot thank you enough. Matt's question: how do I tell if I have low stomach acid? The doctor said that I have GERD. Okay, so there are a lot of different issues that can go on in our digestive tract. It's a very complex place with a lot of different stuff going on. Okay, we can think about how the food that comes into our digestive tract, our body has to break it down, whatever it is. Okay, so the more processed a food is, the more work it's going to take for your body to break it down into the little pieces, the nutrients that can then be sent around and used. So processed foods are terrible for our digestion because they're so hard to break down. Like every chemical process that was done to the food, our body has to reverse that. Okay, so the food has to be broken down. The nutrients have to be pulled out of the food. Any toxins that were present have to be neutralized. Okay, the food then has to be processed enough to keep moving through the digestive tract, which is like miles and miles with miles of digestive tract. It's kind of crazy to think about. So there's just or maybe it's not miles of digestive tract, but it's a lot. I don't know the exact amount. I'm sure you could find that easily on the internet. So there's a lot of different things, right? And I just kind of started with that to kind of, give you an appreciation for all that our stomach is doing, right? It's a very complex process. So one thing that is often kind of overlooked is that the stomach environment itself, okay, in order to break down the food, in order to neutralize any toxins, bacteria, viruses that could have been present on the food, and you've got to realize we're exposing ourselves to huge amounts of bacteria and toxins every time we eat. What's on your hands, what was on the food, I mean, we don't get sick from it because our stomach does such a good job of neutralizing it. You know, every once in a while somebody will get food poisoning, right? It's just too much to handle. But just, you know, for a second, think about, you know, our stomach is neutralizing a lot, or else we would be sick all the time. So in order to do those things, the stomach environment is highly, highly acidic. Have you ever noticed how your dog can find like a rotten, disgusting, putrid piece of meat lying in the road, eat it, and then be fine? Like nothing ever happened? Well, that's because a dog's stomach is even more acidic than our stomach. Okay? So the stomach acidity is what allows digestion to occur. What causes the reflux of stomach acid back into the esophagus, which gives us that feeling of heartburn, okay, what causes that reflux is that the stomach is not acidic enough. And there's a little valve between the esophagus and the stomach, and essentially that whole purpose of that valve is to monitor the acidity of the stomach, and if the stomach is not acid enough, the valve stays open. If the stomach is acidic enough for digestion to occur, that valve will close. And so that's what happens in healthy, normal digestive tract. Your stomach is highly acidic, but this valve closes when the stomach is preparing for digestion. So as we're eating, okay, this whole process of masticating or chewing on our food, the body is releasing salivary enzymes. It's starting to trigger digestive enzymes. So this entire process of digestion involves a kind of almost a domino effect of things that actually begins as soon as we smell the food. So when we're talking about digestion, first of all, your stomach needs to be acidic. So if you're taking Tums or any kind of antacid, most of the prescription reflux medications like Prilosec, they are also neutralizing your stomach acid. And in that way, you know, they can give you, they can give you some relief from the symptom, right? It feels like your heartburn is going away, but unfortunately, when you decrease the acidity of the stomach, you're compromising your digestion. So, your stomach needs to be acidic. If your stomach isn't acidic enough, that valve won't close and you're going to get that sensation of reflux or heartburn. So, in order to make your stomach more acidic, you can take something like apple cider vinegar. You can add little bits of apple cider vinegar into a glass of water. I try to do that every morning. Take a little glass of apple cider vinegar water. If you really can't stand the taste, or you really suffer from kind of extreme reflux, you might want to get the apple cider vinegar tablets or pills, because then you don't have to taste it, because it's definitely got a pungent flavor. But anyways, take some apple cider vinegar tablets before your meals. From the, thinking again about that whole domino effect of digestion, know that if you spend more time in between your nose, first recognizing that there's food, and your stomach actually having to digest food, that's going to improve your digestion. So this means a couple of things. Going to the fast food restaurant where they hand you your food into the window, and then within a couple of minutes, you have ingested an entire hamburger. This is very, very, very bad for your digestion because your stomach has not had a chance to prepare for that food. This is one of the many reasons why cooking at home is so healthy for you. Because as soon as you start getting the aromas of whatever you're cooking, your stomach is starting to prepare to digest that meal. It's starting to release digestive enzymes. It's starting to, all of these different hormones that are a part of digestion are starting to get triggered. Another thing you can do is just chew your food more slowly. I can't remember the exact study or whatever, but they've looked so many times at the simple difference of people chewing their foods like 15 times and people chewing their foods like 40 times. People who chew their food more, just slower, more thoroughly chewing their food, they tend to eat less. They tend to have less belly fat. They tend to have less problems with like blood sugar issues, with their blood sugar level going too low. Anyways, it's just kind of crazy to think about. But even if you don't change your diet at all, just think about this one simple thing, which is not eating your food immediately after the first time you're smelling it. Give your body some time to prepare. Chew more slowly, chew more thoroughly. And I think just in general, being a more conscious eater is really valuable. So rather than eating while you're doing something else, like while you're watching TV, while you're driving your car, while you're sitting at your desk, just pull away for a second and eat your food and be really focused on your eating and on your chewing and, just this entire eating process not being something that's rushed through or something that you're not paying attention to. Apple cider vinegar caplets before your meals. You can also take bile salts. I don't want to get into it, but it's just a good thing to know. And if you look up bile salts, you can find more information about them. But our bile, again, is another, really important part of digestion and helping things move through. So bile salts can be really healthy. Again, for people that are eating lots of processed foods, fast foods, fried foods, etc. These are very, very hard on your digestive tract to break down. So anything you can do to support your digestion, like probiotics, bile salts, apple cider vinegar caplets, these things are going to just help make it a little bit easier for your body to digest and break down those foods. As far as how to know if you have low stomach acid, anyways, I'm not gonna go into it anymore. Hopefully that answer helped you. All right, so you want to have your stomach acid high. So low stomach acid would be a problem, and you can fix that with something like taking apple cider vinegar. Matt, thank you so much for your tip. Thank you so much for your question. Zena Darwish. Hold on one second. I'm just going to hydrate. Dribble water everywhere. Okay, Zena Darwish, or Darwish, I'm not exactly sure. Is starving yourself a good method for weight loss or not? I've been starving myself for several days just because I'm ashamed of myself and I'm bullied because of my weight. What can I do? Oh, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you on being bullied over your weight. That is terrible. So I don't know how old you are. I would assume if you're being bullied, you're still in school. Zena, let me know how old you are. That will definitely help in giving you an answer. But I will go ahead and at least give you an initial answer here, which is that starving yourself is a terrible, terrible, terrible method for weight loss. And it actually will have the opposite effect than what you're intending, right? So you're intending to lose weight by eating less or eating nothing, right? But what happens when our bodies start to perceive a famine, right? Because your body doesn't know that you're choosing not to eat, right? Our bodies don't know that we choose to lift weights or we choose to do this or we, you know what I mean? It just is receiving the information. So your body's receiving this information that there's no food. This is a, you know, survival nightmare for the body. Because if there's no food, what is it going to do? All it can do is hold on for dear life, literally for dear life, to every single calorie of fat and molecule of fat on your body in hopes that, you know, there will be more food soon and you're not going to die. So what starving yourself actually does is it puts your body into a very, very stressed state. The sympathetic nervous system, or fight or flight part of the nervous system, comes fully into gear. The body is perceiving danger. It's perceiving stress. So what this does is it shuts off your digestion. It shuts off your body's ability to burn fat for fuel. So when people ask about like, oh, what do I do to boost my metabolism? Eating on a regular schedule, or as close to a regular schedule as you can, is one of the best things you can do for your metabolism, because it allows your body to keep burning through fat and your digestion to keep working. So starving yourself puts your body in such a state of stress that it's not going to burn fat. It's going to hold on to every molecule of fat that it can. When we see cases of like anorexia, where somebody's really going a long period of time without eating, the reason that they finally start losing weight is because the body's literally eating itself. So this is a certainly not healthy thing to do at all. And it's actually not even going to help you lose weight either, because your body is going to be clinging on to that excess fat more than ever if you are limiting your calories, and especially if you're starving yourself. So, oh my gosh, this is so sad to think about. People who are bullying you and making you feel ashamed of yourself and the way that you look, they are doing that because of their own self-hatred, for lack of a better word. When someone is mean to another person, especially about something they can't help, something about the way that they look or something like that, that comes from a place of deep-seated self-hatred, that someone feels so badly about themselves that the only thing they can do to make themselves feel better is try to make someone else feel worse than they do. We see this so many times in movies. I feel like this has kind of almost become a cliche theme in movies, right? Is that the villain, the evil character, we end up finding out later that they themselves had some kind of really horrible or traumatic event happen to them, or their own parents were really evil to them. So I just bring this up because when someone is trying to make us feel bad about ourselves, or is bullying us, you know, it hurts. And it's not easy to just say, oh, don't let it bother you, right? It hurts. It hurts us. And that person is doing something, you know, very intentionally to do something to try and hurt us. More often than not, that person's actions are coming as a reaction to their own pain. So I don't know if that makes it any better or not, but just to kind of try and realize that those bullying comments or people that are trying to make you feel bad about yourself, I mean, you should really and truly, you should feel sorry for them. You should feel sorry for them that their lives are so awful and they hate themselves so much that the only thing they can do to make themselves feel better is to try to hurt another person. When it comes to our weight, you know, we live in a culture, and I obviously don't know where you live. I would think by your name, maybe you're not in America, but you certainly could be. But between our media and Hollywood and all of this craziness we live in, I think that they're creating a lot of shame and a lot of body image issues. So it's not easy. And I know that feeling ashamed of ourselves is probably like one of the worst things that we could ever feel. And it makes it really hard to motivate yourself to try and, do something better. But if you can just start making a step of hearing those bullying words or hearing those mean comments, and then just internalize that, like, man, I feel sorry for that guy. He thinks that making fun of me because of the way I look is going to make him feel better. Like, man, what is this freaking person going through that they have become such a shitty person, for lack of a better term? Okay, so back into weight loss. The best thing you can do if you really want to lose weight is to eat regularly. Let your body know that there is plenty of food. Eating as close to you can to a regular, consistent schedule is a really good way to get your body feeling very comfortable. That, like, hey, no threat of famine, no threat of starvation, and it's only then, when the body's in the parasympathetic or relaxed part of the nervous system, it's only then when the body feels confident that there's plenty of food to go around, that your body will actually start burning off your stored fat. Remember, the whole reason that our body stores fat in the first place is as a survival mechanism. It's like all of our cells are little storage units for energy. And so the body's like, man, I'm going to store this store this energy for a rainy day just in case we ever run out of food, and then we're going to really need it. So if you want to burn fat, your body has to be in a low stress environment. Get plenty of sleep. Avoid sugars, obviously. But one thing that people sometimes don't realize is that your white bread, your potato chips, your tortilla chips, these are refined carbohydrates, and they are just as bad for your waistline as sugar. So lay off the sodas. Lay off the white bread, pastries and pancakes and stuff like that. I mean, once in a while, that can be okay. But if you're eating those types of foods every day, that alone could be, the reason that you're unable to lose weight. So clean up your diet. I have hundreds of videos on healthy diets, healthy tips for weight loss. I probably have like 50 videos giving different tips for weight loss. But no, starving yourself is not a good method to lose weight. And even if somebody were to lose weight while they were starving themselves, I mean, how long can you go through your life starving yourself? Because as soon as you start eating again, the body's going to be like, oh my God, there's food. And it's going to start storing fat like crazy. So anyways, starving yourself, very, very bad. And my prayers go out to you. I know it's not easy dealing with bullies and people that make you feel bad about yourself. So my heart goes out to you 100%. And if you want to leave, more information like your age and stuff, that would be helpful as well. Manpreet Kaur. I'm working out but I can't lose weight. It's been 3 months. I'm just losing inches. What do I do? So again, this is something that, I'll be honest, is a little bit hard to answer without knowing a little bit more about your situation. Like, how overweight are you? How much weight are we talking about here? So I'm just going to go over like as many reasons as I can think of why weight loss sometimes doesn't happen even though you're working out. One thing to think about is just the duration of your life. How many years of your life have you spent sedentary versus how much of your life have you spent active? So you've been working out for 3 months, and that's fantastic. But let's say that you're 30 years old. And let's say that for the last 30 years, you've been very sedentary, you haven't worked out, perhaps you've gained a lot of weight. So even though you've been working out for 3 months, you're working against 30 years of bad, unhealthy, sedentary habits. So it's not to say that someone who's 30 can't lose weight, but it's just to point out that the longer duration of time that you've been sedentary or that you've been really overweight is going to, probably make it take a little bit longer to start reversing that progress. You know how they always say, we're creatures of habit. It really is true. And our bodies internally are very habitual as well. So a big part of what we're up against when we're trying to lose weight is just getting ourselves out of the habits that we had all of these past years, like drinking sodas or whatever. But there's also all of these internal habits that your body has to start changing. So one great example is that if you're eating a lot of sugar all the time, drinking sodas, eating candy, snacking on chips, your body gets very, very acclimated to only burning sugar for energy. Sugar is the easiest type of energy to burn, or I should say carbohydrates are the easiest energy to burn. Fats are the cleanest energy to burn. So when we talk about wanting our body to burn fat for fuel, just understand that your body's always going to start by just burning the sugar. And the body gets very kind of habitually stuck as being a sugar burner. And sometimes you'll even hear health coach people talk about somebody, oh my God, they're such a sugar burner. And what that means is that their body will only burn sugar. And no matter how much you work out, you always have so much sugar in your bloodstream from the sodas and the candies and the snacking that your body never starts burning the reserves of fat that you need to get rid of, that you're wanting to get rid of. So in order to get your body out of the sugar burning zone and into the fat burning zone, first it's going to burn through all the sugar in your bloodstream. This is why things like Gatorade, I'm just floored. People who are trying to work out are drinking sugar water. Drinking sugar water while you're working out. It's completely bass-ackwards, because as long as you're drinking sugar, your body's just going to burn through that sugar. It's not even going to touch your thighs or your belly or your whatever. So keeping your sugar low, your carbohydrates low, especially while you're working out, is very important. They say it takes about 20 to 30 minutes of exercise for your body to burn through all the sugar. And then so it's only after your first 30 minutes of exercising that your body starts burning your stored fat reserves. So work out for at least 30 minutes. Is a really good rule of thumb. If you want to see weight loss, you should probably be working out for an hour, 3 to 4 times a week. or more. But that's maybe kind of a baseline for seeing results. Don't have sugar in your bloodstream all the time. One really cool thing about working out is that once you get your body burning fat for fuel, your body will keep burning fat even after you work out. Your body will keep burning fat even after you work out until you spike up your insulin levels too high with something like alcohol. Alcohol will stop your body from burning fat. So after your workout, really try to just think about eating healthy fat, eating healthy protein, avoid sugar as best you can. I know sometimes after we work out, it feels like, oh, I'm going to go eat a big tub of ice cream. If you can avoid that, that's a really good idea, because your body will keep burning fat. Even after your workout, you just can't go overload on a whole bunch of sugar. The primary time that your body actually does this, fat burning process is while you sleep. So if you're skimping on your sleep, that can be stopping your, your body's ability to lose weight. So don't skimp on your sleep. Don't skip meals. Remember that, if your body perceives a famine, it's going to hold on to your stubborn fat. So regularly scheduled meals, and don't skip meals. Very, very important if you want to lose weight. Keep your carbs low. Keep your sugar low. The more that you can get your calories from healthy fats, healthy protein, and things that contain fiber is going to be much, much healthier for your waistline. Anyhow, hopefully I shared something in there that is helpful for you. Again, this is why I really like doing like the one-on-one health coaching sessions, because then the person doesn't just kind of give me a vague question. I literally will ask, okay, let's talk about your diet. Let's talk about what your daily activities are like. How much are you exercising? What are your favorite foods? What are your favorite flavors? These are like such kind of important questions for me to be able to give you a really kind of specific recommendation. So anyhow, if you're interested in doing health coaching sessions with me, email corrinanow@gmail.com. It actually has the word email in it. So my email is emailcorrinanow@gmail.com. So if you're interested in potentially setting up a health session or sending me more information via email so I can give you another answer, email corrinanow@gmail.com. Always hits a certain point in the chat room where there's so many questions, so many question marks. I can't get to all of them. Okay, there's the fried food question. Uncle Quacker, is there such thing as too much fruit and veggie superfoods? I don't think so. The thing about our bodies is that they are very self-regulating to an extent. So that's one of the big reasons why processed foods and junk foods are so terrible for us, is they start to throw off our body's own kind of self-regulating mechanisms. Whereas when you're eating healthy and you're not putting a bunch of MSG and artificial sugar and artificial flavors and all these like weird toxins in your body that just screw your body up, your body will self-regulate how much of different things it needs. Like, you could keep drinking water all day, and then at some point it's not going to look appetizing anymore. It's going to be like, oh, I don't think I can drink any more water. And that's your body's way of telling you, yep, I'm good. Don't don't need any more. You can put it down, right? Our bodies will communicate with us. And it's kind of the same thing with fruits and vegetables. Now, I do not think there are very many people out there who even come close to eating too many fruits or vegetables. But if you were, your body would receive that and tell you. And it would make you suddenly, let's say you're eating some bananas, which is why I really don't understand those people that eat like 18 bananas a day. Like, I can barely eat one. I get to the end of the banana and I'm like, that's good. That's good enough. I'm really glad there's no more banana, right? I can't imagine eating 3. I had a friend once that tried that diet. She had to eat like 20 bananas a day or something, and she said it was the most horrible thing she's ever done in her life. All right, anyways, so a little bit off tangent, but the whole point of that story was to tell you that your body, when it starts to say like, oh, I've had enough of this, it'll tell you by like that thing not looking good anymore, that thing not being appealing anymore. This is why when it comes to overeating, the only thing you're really going to be able to overeat is unhealthy junk food that has all this refined sugar and flavors and MSG and weird chemicals they add to it to trick your brain into overeating and eating more than you need. But if you're eating real foods, healthy foods, natural foods in their natural state, there will be a point that you're eating and all of a sudden you're like, ugh. And your body is telling you, like, hey, I'm good on that. I don't need any more of that. Similarly, our cravings are our body trying to tell us something. Now, again, our cravings can get very thrown off if you're eating a bunch of, processed and unnatural foods. But when your body's working correctly, let's take a salt craving, for instance. A salt craving is your body's way of saying, hey you up there, my person, I need some minerals. I'm mineral deficient. And there's a lot of different minerals out there, right? Magnesium, selenium, potassium. So, there's lots of them. So at which point you are having really intense salt cravings, it's probably because you're deficient in one or more of those minerals. So unfortunately, a lot of times people are craving salt. They go and get a bag of Cheetos or something, or Doritos. And unfortunately, once again, those processed foods, they don't have all of the minerals your body needs. So if you can answer your body's cravings with a food that is healthy and a natural food, then you can actually satisfy that craving. So let's say you're having a salt craving. That means you need minerals. So nuts would be a great thing to reach for. And they don't have to be salted, right? The nuts themselves contain a lot of minerals. Nuts, anything with sea salt, and especially the Himalayan pink sea salt, is far superior to regular salt because it contains the full spectrum of minerals, or at least a significantly wider spectrum of minerals. Whereas our table salt, the salt that we pour on our food, the salt that they use in our junk foods, it's just sodium. So most of us have redonkulously high sodium levels, way higher than they need to be. And what really exacerbates the problem is that our other mineral levels are ridiculously low. I was doing a health coaching session last night with somebody who had occurrences or episodes of dizziness and being near fainting from low potassium. Which is why I recommended potassium to the person earlier that was asking about headaches and eye pain after their workouts. Low potassium can give you shortness of breath. It can make you pass out. So anyways, I'm just kind of going off on this little tangent, so to speak, to illustrate that when we're eating healthy foods, our bodies will guide us to eat the things that it needs in the amounts that it needs. It is going to be very unlikely that you will overeat really healthy foods, because at some point your brain will register that, like, I'm full. I have the nutrients and the fiber and the stuff that I need, and it's okay for you to stop eating. It's just these processed foods that they literally design to trick us into overeating. George Not Miss George Not Smith 2 chiming in about microwaves here. Lots of exclamation points. If you cannot avoid a microwaved meal, do not microwave it in the plastic dish. The various non-edible chemicals come out more so when the plastic bubbles are heated. So that is a really great tip. So you know how all of the microwave meals and everything, they come in plastic. There's also the little Ziploc plastic containers. If you've got to microwave something, at the very least, put it in glass. Put it on a glass plate or a glass bowl instead. Tomatoes and carrots can be eaten raw. I believe that they have different nutritional profiles when they're heated, or at least with tomatoes. You know, my kind of rule of thumb is to try and have like some raw and some cooked of different vegetables. So sometimes I'm going to have raw tomatoes. Sometimes I'll have them cooked. Again, there's certain things that you're not supposed to have uncooked, like cauliflower and, I think actually you can eat raw cauliflower. Potatoes are an example of something. Carrots, totally fine raw or steamed. Diane Ashmore, what kind of diet would you recommend for eczema? An anti-inflammatory diet. So if you look up anti-inflammatory diet, one of the ones that I'm familiar with was called the Zone diet. But basically an anti-inflammatory diet is just a really clean diet of natural foods. Lots of vegetables, lots of salad. We could talk about the legume family. So chickpeas, kidney beans, black beans, lentils are really good anti-inflammatory foods. Basically, the foods that cause inflammation that you should avoid for any inflammatory condition. So that includes eczema, that includes any condition that ends with itis. Stay away from sugar, stay away from caffeine, stay away from processed foods as much as possible. It's tended to believe that dairy and animal foods like meats also cause inflammation or an inflammatory response. So decreasing your intake of dairy, decreasing your intake of animal meats can also be very helpful. The main thing is just adding as many vegetables to your diet as you can. Somebody asked earlier, I saw a question, what's something somebody should do if they just want to be a healthier person overall? Eat more vegetables. Eat more vegetables. They recommend that you need 7 to 10 cups a day of vegetables to get all of the nutrients and micronutrients your body needs. I don't even eat 7 to 10 servings of vegetables a day. I wish that I could say that I did. On some days, I probably do hit that marker, but I definitely don't hit it every day. That's a lot. So bottom line is that no matter how many vegetables you're already eating, you should eat more vegetables. Salads, fantastic. Steamed veggies, fantastic. Green juices. So this is where you take your vegetables and you put them through a juicer, and what results is a delightful looking drink, except it's like this, but it's actually this color. It's like the color of the jar. It's probably going to be darker than the jar. But those green juices, such a fantastic way to take basically the nutritional equivalent of a couple pounds of vegetables. Okay, so you can think about like how many nutrients would come if you had a big bucket of kale and broccoli and spinach this big, right? But now you're going to juice them and you can get all of those nutrients in one glass of juice. So it's a very, very high nutrient density. Eating vegetables, still very good for you. You shouldn't do green juice in place of eating vegetables, but in addition. That's a very, very good, healthy thing to start doing. Either find a juice bar or order your own juicer. There's also a whole bunch of products nowadays out there that's like a powder, and then you just add water to it. You know, so they basically like juice vegetables and then dehydrate it and turn it into a powder. There's a lot of different ways that you can take in more nutrients, but that would probably be my biggest recommendation. There's also something called Green Vibrance. It's like a green superfood powder. They also make it in a capsule form, which I would actually recommend because it's got kind of a strong taste. But any kind of like green superfood powder that's just packed with nutrients will be very, very helpful in fighting inflammation. I also have a whole video I did on eczema. So if you put in eczema as a search term on this channel, you can find that video and hopefully that will be helpful for you. Oh, here we go. Mr. Nibble's mommy. This is my friend Amanda. It's really good to see you. I tried to text you before, but I don't know if you saw it or not. Mr. Nibble's mommy, she says, $3 IUDs with fake progesterone. Are they safe? I don't even think that the regular IUD is particularly safe myself personally. Exposing our bodies to synthetic hormones, so anything other than the actual hormones our own body makes, it's just never a good idea. So yes, I would recommend that people stay away from IUDs. People stay away from any kind of, you know, hormone pill, you know, even the birth control pill. You know, it's like manipulating your hormones. Certainly the healthiest thing is to not take any kind of synthetic hormones. You know, I think when it comes to, you know, safe sex, if that's the question, you know, condoms are gonna be the best thing for you. When it comes to things like birth control and IUDs, and I mean, it's just very scary to me. Especially scary that it's really, really common now. I used to take birth control and I felt like a psycho. I don't know, maybe it's just because I was, you know, younger then. I wasn't that young, I was like 20 or something. Anyways, I don't know. I took it for a couple years, and when I stopped taking it, I felt a lot better and I felt way more in control of my emotions. So for what that's worth, but this is definitely, you know, something we can talk about. Galula AD, or Galula, okay, I can't even say that. What about bloating issues? So bloating, stagnant, unmoving food inside of your belly. There's a lot of things that can cause bloating. Just in terms of like sodium in our minerals, you know, again, a lot of us have way too much sodium, especially if you're eating processed foods and stuff like that. Pretty much all of those foods, they only contain that one mineral of sodium. So the mineral imbalance can cause like water retention and bloating and all kinds of issues like that. A congested liver can cause bloating. So again, we can kind of think about our digestive tract. It's much longer than this, right? But you've got your esophagus and your stomach, and then we get into your intestines, colon, etc. There's a lot of processes along the way. There's a lot of potential areas where our digestion can get stopped up, for lack of a better term. But a sluggish digestion is, tends to be an underlying either cause of bloating or just another symptom of whatever the actual issue is. So anything you can do to help make your digestion smoother should help with bloating. So things like probiotics are excellent. I was talking earlier about how your stomach environment needs to be very acidic. So taking apple cider vinegar, either a little bit in some water or taking it as a pill, can really, really help your digestion, because your stomach needs to be a very acidic environment in order to digest your food. Bile salts are another thing that can help digestion. A liver cleanse, or at least eating foods that help support your liver. Also, remember that things like alcohol and even your over-the-counter painkillers like Tylenol, they're very, very toxic to your liver. So if you're having issues with bloating, I would just ask you questions like, how often do you drink? How often do you take either prescription medications or over-the-counter pain pills or anything like that? Simple things like drinking more water is a really good way for helping those detox organs like your liver and your gallbladder to do what they need to do. So even though you don't necessarily think about dehydration and bloating as going together, something simple like drinking more water, it's such an easy thing to do, at least a good thing to try out and see if that helps. Because as those different organs become sluggish or kind of stopped up, like if you think about an air filter and it gets all plugged up with stuff and then you can't even see through it anymore, that's kind of what's happening, potentially happening in our digestive tract if our liver is becoming overworked. All right, can't function the way it's supposed to. So sugar, caffeine, painkillers, all of these things are very toxic to the liver. But just not getting enough water will also prevent those organs from functioning the way they're supposed to. Another good just kind of like little hack thing is twisting motions. I got a little crack in my back. I don't know if y'all heard that. But twisting around your belly, it's kind of like massaging your organs. You can almost think about it like wringing your organs out. So if you're, having a lot of bloating issues, I would recommend either standing, or you can lay down and twist from side to side. You can twist in your chair. But twisting motions and side stretching, just like stretching the sides of the body, can also kind of help with bloating. I watched one video about the military diet and I thought that just looks ridiculous and very unpleasant. There's a lot of diets out there that work. I can't believe y'all are cursing at me. Y'all are yelling and cursing at me in all caps. WTF, you guys? Jeez. Wow, Jordan Tutterow. Let's block this mofo. Screw you. Put user in timeout. there's so many diets out there, guys. I mean, it would take me years to sit here and go through every single diet and talk about whether it's safe or not, right? You know, from what I recall, the military diet has you eating a piece of bread in the morning. What do I say about bread? What have I said about bread 800 bazillion times? The refined carbohydrates in a piece of bread just aren't good for you. There are some decent breads out there, like Ezekiel. It's a sprouted whole grain bread. But most of the people doing the military diet are probably not going and buying that good bread, right? They're just using some piece of, you know, regular bread, which is like the last thing I would recommend for people to eat. You know, I recommend people to eat huge amounts of vegetables. Lots of salads, lots of steamed vegetables. That's, you know, my recommendation. So when you find a diet that doesn't have those things included, you know, then I would say it's not really safe. So here we go. Military diet. Day 1 breakfast. 1 slice of toast. 1 cup of coffee, a half a grapefruit. I mean, who wants to eat that? A slice of toast with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and half a grapefruit, and that's your breakfast? That sounds terrible. And then your lunch is 1 piece of toast and a half a cup of tuna? And then your dinner is 3 ounces of meat, 1 cup of green beans, 1 apple, half a banana, and vanilla ice cream. No. I would say eat several cups of vegetables at dinner. Eat a salad, eat, you know, you should be eating vegetables, you know, all throughout the day. They have you, you know, so this diet, okay, let's just think for a second, okay? I told you a little while ago that they recommend you need 7 to 10 cups of vegetables a day to get the minimum nutritional requirements your body needs. This diet has you eating 1 serving of vegetable and I guess you could say 2 servings of fruit. So no, that's not healthy. Period. It's not healthy. This could maybe help you lose weight, but I will be really effing surprised if you can go do your military workout after eating this. Anyways, I would say this is not a healthy diet. I would say this just looks completely, you know, does not look appetizing to me at all either. You know, day 2 lunch, 1 hard-boiled egg, 5 saltine crackers, and a cup of cottage cheese. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That sounds terrible. And there's no vegetables. So yes, I'm not a fan of the military diet. It's official. Anyhow, guys, I am getting the signal to go ahead and close out my chat here. So I'm going to start winding down. Next time somebody curses at me in the chat room, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, I don't know. Jonathan Whitelaw is asking about how to achieve better quality of sleep, how to achieve deep relaxation. Man, we have just maybe a couple hundred of videos on our channel. Yoga for deep relaxation, tips for stress, tips for sleep. If you check out our ASMR channel, even more tips for sleep. So many videos there. Just a couple little things off the top of my head. When you're staring at your phone, when you're staring at your computer or your TV, the blue light that comes out of these electronic devices is really bad for our sleep. One of the best things you can do for your sleep is avoiding screens a couple hours before bedtime. Definitely avoiding having screens on at night while you're sleeping, if you can. You know, if you like having noise in the background, maybe put on a radio or something instead. Or, you know, leave your computer running and just turn the monitor off so that you don't have those lights flashing at you while you're sleeping. Magnesium is really important for sleep and for relaxation. Chamomile tea, really good for both of those things as well. I'm going to do one last call for tips. I will do one more question. Or heck, if a bunch of people tip, I will do as many questions that get left with a tip before we close out here. I want to thank all of you so much for coming today. It's been a really fun chat. Covered a lot of different ground here. So, David, what happens if you're not keen on vegetables? You know, David, I would just say, like, have you tried every vegetable there is? I really doubt it. You know, so just because you tried a couple and you didn't like them that much, don't be like, I'm not keen on vegetables. Like, there's hundreds of vegetables out there that you can eat. There's a lot of different foods. Experiment with different ways of cooking them. One of my favorite things to do, I will cook my veggies in a healthy way, just steam them with water. But then once they're done and I pour off the water, I'll put a couple little pads of grass-fed butter over them and a little sprinkle of salt and pepper. Butter and salt and pepper will make your steamed veggies just awesome, in my opinion. If you like things spicy, throw in some cayenne, or, you know, chop up some jalapenos. Actually, peppers have a lot of health benefits for us. They're also anti-inflammatory. For the person that was asking earlier about eczema, peppers are a really great way to fight inflammation. So, you know, find different ways of cooking them, experiment with different vegetables. You know, if you need to pour some, you know, I say this jokingly, but I literally mean it, okay? If it takes bacon bits and ranch dressing to get you to eat a salad, then so be it. Because it is far more important for you to eat those vegetables and just do whatever it is you need to do to them to make them taste good. If you really hate vegetables, you cannot eat them. You just won't do it, Corrina, no matter what. You're not going to be very healthy. You can add a handful of lettuce or spinach to a smoothie. Make a green smoothie. But if you hate vegetables, you're probably not going to like that either. You know, sneaking vegetables in to things like meatloaf, or, you know, throw some chopped vegetables in with your pasta sauce, in with your meat sauce for your spaghetti. Whatever. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your awesome question. Daniel Brandt, thank you for commenting worms hundreds of times in my chat for some random reason. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I hope y'all will come back next week. Same place, same time. I'm about to publish a brand new presenter on our channel. Her name is Chandler Rose, and she's showing some self-care back pain relief using a yoga block. It's like a really kind of cool little trick, cool thing to use. So go check her out. Help me welcome her to the channel. And I really look forward to seeing you guys all again next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you then. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.